All right.
I didn't know these were spaces.
Yeah, those are spaces.
And Nepria.
All right. Before we get started, Candy handed out one of these to you guys. We got some classes that are coming up, so if you guys, since you guys are students of ours, you get discounts on those classes. So if you guys are looking to take some other courses, take advantage of it. You guys get a discount and some freebies with some of them. And then also too, she put some cool tools on the back. If you guys need any equipment, let us know. We'll let her know, and she can help you guys out with that. So, all right. So let's go over some more answers. These are for today's sheet that you guys should have done last night, or you probably did in the parking lot, or at lunch, or while we were getting this going. I don't think so. Not these.
What happened?
Nothing.
Did you do homework?
Yeah.
Who's getting an F?
Nobody. I gotta tell John, mándame otro, güey.
I'm like, what? Oye, ¿el mío cuándo llega?
Send Brandon an email.
Me la put the photo.
Yeah, what's up, bro? I'm already gonna send the payment.
No copying. If you're killing, you're cheating. This is what happened.
The first book they did yeah.
See, the first one I fucked up. The second one I did it right. Next time, just have them do it in class. Classwork.
All right. You guys done doing your homework?
How about this one? 2 pages of homework. This one and that one.
Am I missing another one?
Did you do your homework?
I'm missing another one. Oh no, you know what? I think it's at the end. Uh-huh. That one's at the end.
Oh, that's extra credit.
Cool.
Obviously, both pages.
That's how much credit we talked
Alright guys, let's get going. Okay, so today we're going to finish out with most of the laws and regulations pertaining to lamp inspection here in California. And then after that, I'm going to send you guys out. Kelvin did some modifications to the car, so car shouldn't pass, so you guys shouldn't pass it for lamp. You guys are going to go out and do a full lamp inspection. Okay, so I put this up here because last class I had a lamp adjuster in here who was saying that all cars have to have fog lights. So what do you guys think? Okay.
Money you want to pay.
So I took it to a whole different level and I looked it up, right? California Vehicle Code, Division 12, Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 24403, subsection A, says that a motor vehicle may be equipped. Keywords, may be. Okay? So that means that if they want to, they'll put it. If they don't, they don't. Okay? So I thought I'd share that with you guys. Alright, so if somebody ever tells you that they have to have fog lights, they're full of it. Okay? Now, if you want to start smart, just memorize that. Division 12, Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 24403, subsection A, says you're full of shit, right? Okay? So you guys could definitely hit them with that. Alright, let's jump into laws and regs. What's up?
I can't even remember what happened last time.
Yeah. You should have been here. It was fun. We didn't get into it, but he was trying to tell us why that was wrong for a cool minute. So, next class I pulled the laws out on him. Alright. Have any of you guys came across this in your workbook? Okay.
Oh, the first section.
You need to memorize every single piece of information on this page.
Even the code reference?
Except the codes.
On the handbook, there's another page that refers to that, right?
Yep. So, headlamps. Conditions and definitions, A and B. Minimum height, 22, max 54, and they were introduced in 1940. Tail lights. Conditions and definitions, A and B. 1572, 1940. Stop lamps, A and B, 1572, 1940. License plate lamp, definition number 4, information's in your book. Okay? All of this stuff you need to memorize.
What does that mean, condition definition?
If you guys turn to your to your lamp adjuster handbook, it's about in the middle of the page. Middle of the book. I think it's like around page 15, 16, somewhere on there. You're close. Right here. Page 16.
So we gotta memorize what A means and what B means?
What A means, what B means, the minimum, the maximum height, and what year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just get a break at this.
Okay.
Where's the year on this? Is it 75, 71?
Yep, right here. Start 40, 58, 65.
You can always reference that if you need to at a later date, right?
At the shop, absolutely.
Yeah.
During the test,
So you gotta remember these for the test.
yep. Alright. So, you guys ready?
No.
Let's start breaking this down. After January 1st of 1930, headlamps are to be no less than 22 inches from the ground, with a no more than 54 inches from the ground to the center of the lamp. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay. So how could you remember 1930, 22, 54?
Subtract and repeat. Subtract the two. Whatever works for you, bro.
You got to put something together, okay?
Well, the three ones will add up to the 3, and then 1930 in reality.
You got to come up with something,
Yeah,
okay?
that would make sense.
The reason I'm saying that is because you're going to get asked on that. Alright, so you need to remember that minimum, that maximum height, and the year. Okay, you might get a question with all those pieces of information, one piece of information, but you got to be able to discern 22 to 54 after 1930.
One, and up to 1930.
Okay? High beams are always prohibited on the highway. Auxiliaries may not be lit with low beams. You get a question on that? That when you turn on your low beams, auxiliary lights can be turned on. Does that pass or fail?
Fail.
Okay. Your low beams can only, your auxiliary lights can only work when you're using your high beams off highway. Okay.
But fog lamps.
Fog lamps is a different story. A vehicle may have a max of 2 auxiliary lamps. One bar or 2 round ones. So if you got a lifted truck that comes in with a bumper in the front that has 4 of them, it's a fail. Yeah, and if it has 4 light bars or 4 small ones that make 1 large one, that's a fail.
What are you just covered up?
They're there. They're mounted. So you get them for that. Auxiliary lamps must be between 16 to 42 inches from the ground to the center of the lamp. You're going to get a question that says a truck comes in and it's lifted and it has 2 auxiliary lights, and you're taking a measurement and they give you a measurement. Does that pass or fail? Okay.
Are they also talking about the roof mounted lights too?
Yeah, that's an auxiliary light, yeah. So that would be 16 to 42 inches from the ground.
So basically, every truck on the road with a roof mounted lamp.
If the cop wants to be that guy, he can definitely be that guy. Okay? Auxiliary lamps may be lit with high beams. Okay? It's important to remember that. A vehicle may have a max of 2 fog lamps and they cannot substitute a headlamp. So if you're driving down the road with your fog lights on, no headlights, you can get a ticket. Okay? Fog lamps. Fog starts at 12:30. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay, fog lamps, 12 inches minimum, 30 inches maximum. A vehicle may have a max of 2 spot lamps. What are spot lamps? You know the ones the cops use? The ones that every fucking PT Cruiser has for some weird reason? Okay? One of those. Right? You need to remember that that lamp has a 32 candle power and 30 watts. So they're going to ask you, what's the candle power maximum for a spot lamp? Then they give you a question that you're doing an inspection on the vehicle and it has 1 spot lamp. Does the vehicle pass or fail?
Yeah.
Passes.
Can you just give us a question?
I am. If you guys follow along, I definitely am. Stop lamps should project the vehicle or should project light 300 feet. True?
Yes.
Okay. This one you need to remember because you're going to get a question and they're going to intermix some of those lights, and you got to make sure that you're using the right ones to make a grouping. Okay? So no more than 4 of these lamps could be lit at the same time. Headlamps, auxiliary lamps, fog lamps, warning lamps, or spot lamps. Any mixture of those 4.
Headlamp could be with fog lamp, that's for sure.
So if you got a car that you're inspecting or the question they give you says fog lamp, headlamp, fog lamp, spot lamp, and auxiliary lamp, it's pass. Right? Or whatever it says, headlamp, auxiliary, fog, and warning. It's a pass. As long as there's 4 of them.
What does that mean to be lit at the same time?
They're all turned on. So headlamps are on, auxiliary lamps are on, fog lamps are on, and spot lamps.
And auxiliary lamp, fog lamp, and warning, spot lamp, if they are 2 and 2, they could be, so they can combine.
So you can combine any 4 of these at any one time.
2 of them make you 4.
No. Any 4 of those could be lit at the same time.
The warning
So, but I thought you said that no more than 4 auxiliary lamps.
No more than 4 lamps.
Right. So if you got 2 headlamps, right? Okay. And you got 2 auxiliary lamps.
That is 4.
That's 4. Okay. So we could do these, or we could do these, or we could do these.
2 auxiliary and 2
So no. Okay.
This is while on the road, right?
Yeah. We're on the road, and then it comes into the shop. You guys got to inspect
So
it.
then your auxiliary can't be on the road, right? So that would be.
And technically, yeah.
So the answer would only be headlamp and auxiliary.
So here's what's happening. You guys are already going way too deep into this. Okay? Pretty soon we're going to start talking about the engineering factors of how a headlamp works. All you need to remember is that there's 2 headlamps on and 2 auxiliary lamps on. That's it. Or 2 headlamps and 2 fog lamps. That's it, right?
And the warning lamps you're talking about, like the emergency strobe. Okay.
Okay? Why is that important? Because you guys, right now, what everybody did, you guys just failed that test. Because you were already going into like the engineering side. You're going too deep, okay? If they don't say anything about what ifs, and what I mean by what ifs is they're not giving you specifics on the truck sitting in the middle of the shop, and you already ran this, and this, and this, don't assume that that's what they're talking about. Does that make sense? If the question just said, no more than 4 lamps lit at one time, they're not asking you, is it legal to run that one and that one at the same time? Right? We know it's not, but they're not asking that. Right? What are they asking?
4 lamps.
What 4 lamps can be lit at one time? That's it. They're not giving you a scenario. They're not saying that you're doing this or you got in trouble for this or you're doing a enforcement document clearance for this. They're not asking that. They're just asking what 4 can be lit at the same time.
Can you give us
All right.
an example of how a car would fail with any of these combinations? And a car that comes in, well, how would I fail and what would I
Under legality would be headlamps lit, low beams with auxiliary lamps on at the same time.
Connected at one.
That would be a legal reason. For the state test, it would all depend on what kind of question they ask me.
Right there on that question will be the answer of headlamps and fog lamps?
So here it could be headlamps, auxiliary lamps, or auxiliary lamps and fog lamps, or fog lamps and warning lamps. Any one of these put together.
Vehicle comes in with headlamp and fog lamp and fog lamp, says that's for failure. That'd be a fail.
That would be a fail if they were worded that way. So
Okay,
it's
lit or not, pretty much. If they have them there, it's a fail.
lit.
Can't even turn them off? I feel like an idiot. I don't understand it.
So basically what they're telling you is, if this car comes in, right, and it has 2 headlamps on, 2 auxiliary lamps, even though we know legally that's illegal, right, based off of the way they're asking this question, that's acceptable. That's what I'm trying to get across, okay? Why? We know legality-wise, that's not legal. But they're not asking legality-wise. What are they asking? What 4 lamps can be lit at one time? So that means 2 headlamps, 2 auxiliary lamps, that's 4, right? Or if we have 2 headlamps, 2 fog lamps, that's 4. So we're not going into the legal side of it. It's just what's there and what are they asking.
So it would be like, you know how the Chevys, they wire the high beams and low beams at the same time on?
Yeah.
Fog lamps or something like that, right?
Yeah, we could do that. Or like the older Chevys that, you guys remember yesterday I told you if it had 2 square of them, 2 squares made 1. Okay, so that means you can have 6 on a Chevy. If you're looking at technicalities, right?
So that's like the newer Super Duties where they have the 2.
Where you have 2 of them that make 1, and then that's 2, and then your 2 fog lamps, that's 4. Does that make sense? It looks like 6, but it's technically, because of a technicality, 2 of those make 1, so then that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that's a little gray area that we got to look into. Okay?
Remember, 4 lamps can't be on.
Just 4 lamps at the same time. That's it. You got anything other than 4, it's a fail. Okay? But they have to be on. So look at the question. If they're telling you in the question, and somehow in that question it's 6 lamps that are on at the same time, that's a fail. Make sense? Okay? Dual pair headlamps are considered 1 lamp. Did we just say that? Okay? High beams is to project at least 350 feet. Low beam, 100. Okay? Beam indicator, when was it required? 1940. They're going to ask you how many candle power must that light be? 2. How do you measure that? I have the same question, so that's why I'm asking. Okay? I'm pretty sure the one I have doesn't go that low. And mine's an intensity meter. It's not even candle power, so I have no idea where the fuck they get a candle power meter.
I think that law hasn't been changed since.
Alright. Single beam headlamp is prohibited after 9/19 or September 19th of 1940.
Very specific date.
Very specific date, right? You gotta love fucking California.
Is that like just low beam?
Just low beam, no high beam. Yeah. Vehicles are required to have 2 tail lamps on vehicles made or registered after January 1st of 1958. Okay? everything that we're covering right now, I've seen on the test in any way, shape, or form. So that's why I'm going it over with you guys. All right? Trailers, that's in 30 inches wide. You guys remember this from yesterday?
Yes, alarm.
Okay, first thing you should come to mind, 30 inches wide should be one brake light. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, that's the first thing that I always remember when I see 30 inches on this test, I know what they're referring to. That means it's a short trailer, one center-mounted tail light. True? Okay. July 23rd, 1973 would be the date. After, if the trailer was made before that, okay, it's a little different. 30 inches wide made after, okay, may use one. So before, it might be two. Don't know. They're not telling you before, they're just telling you after. Okay? It's crazy. A tail lamp must be visible from 500 feet before January 1st of 1969.
That's a question or whatever, the same thing.
After January 1st of 1969, it's 1,000 feet.
In the same year, they.
Okay? So, if your car was 1968, then it's 500. If it's a 69, it's 1,000. Okay? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not very good at telling the difference between 500 and 1,000 feet. A tail lamp mounting height must be between 15 to 72 inches from the ground. Okay? So that means we can stop at 1572, right? And tail lamps must be equal height. You guys remember that from yesterday? Okay. License plate light must be visible from 50 feet. What color must it be? We went over this yesterday. What if I have a license plate frame that's lit white in color surrounding the plate? Does that pass or fail? Pass, right? The law says that it could be one light that's white in color or a separate light that's white in color that lights the license plate. Is that true? Okay. Fog tail lamps are required to be red in color. How many of you guys are just itching to go buy some red tail fog lamps on your car? Right? Subarus. You're allowed 2 fog lamp tail lamps, okay? And they must be visible from 500 feet if you are using it. Okay? We live in California where I don't think any of us have seen fog for a cool minute. Like, that's probably the reason why we've never seen or heard of this, right? If 2 fog tail lamps are installed, they must be mounted one on the right, one on the left. Kind of obvious, but just putting that out there, right? If 1 fog tail lamp is installed, it must be installed on the left near the center line of the vehicle. So if you're only going to do 1, that's still legal, but it needs to be on the left side off the center of the vehicle. Okay? So you got to find the center of the car, and then you got to go to the left of that, and that's where you're going to install it. Okay? It's a rear-facing light, so what color must it be? Red. Fog tail lamps shall be mounted no lower than 12 inches and not higher than 60 inches. Okay, you get a question on the state test about this. Car comes in, and it's going to have a tail light, and it's going to have one of these, and I believe this one's higher than the tail lamp. What do? You fail it, right? Fog tail lamp shall be mounted not closer than 4 inches to any stop lamp. It's right here. So even though it's within the requirement of 12 and 60, you can still fail it because if it's closer than 4 inches to the actual light. Does that make sense? Fog tail lamp should be wired to only turn on with the headlamps. Okay, so that means you got to wire them through the headlight switch, then to a toggle switch that's going to turn them on. Okay, not a toggle switch that goes straight to the battery that you can turn them on whenever you want. Your headlamps have to be on for you to be able to operate those. Okay. Fog tail lamps must have a switch to turn off when the headlamps are illuminated. Again, 2 stop lamps are required on any vehicle made or registered after January 1st, 1958. 1572 is going to be the measurement, okay? And stop lamps must be the same level, one on the left, one on the right. After January 1st of 1979, okay, all stop lamps must be red. Before January 1st of 1979, it could be red or amber. Those are two questions on the state test. Commercial vehicles may not emit amber to the rear. Any of you guys pay attention to that last night going home? And checking out the big rigs? Right. Yeah.
But on the side, they have all kinds of cars.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting to that.
But auxiliary light, that's the question. Some of those are not really auxiliary lights, and yeah, we just don't see the damn things. I know the driver can't see because technically that's auxiliary lights,
Right.
But you can still see the damn thing. They're purple or whatnot on the side. I mean, you're looking at it from behind. They're not technically red. They could get right up for that if they wanted, correct?
Yeah, because they can see it from the rear. Yeah, if they want to be, if they want to be like that, yeah.
But also, a lot of those trucks have two color lights where with the flip of the switch, it can go back to the factory light. And DOT says that's illegal, or that's legal.
Interesting. Don't you just love when California doesn't add up to the normal government, right? Okay. So stop lamps must be visible from 300 feet during the day and at least 500 feet at night. Okay, and they must be activated by the brake pedal. Supplemental stop lamp, what is that?
The third brake.
Third brake light. Okay. It must emit red in color. Okay, and a supplemental stop lamp must be mounted rear of the driver's seat at least 15 inches from the ground and no max. Okay, why? Because you can get a lifted truck or you can get a van, and that thing's going to be super high up there, and there's no max. Okay. Backup lamps are required after January 1st of 1969, and the backup lamp must be visible from 75 feet. Okay.
That would be,
It's a shitload of numbers so far, right?
The date, we're supposed to memorize the whole thing or just the year?
Dates, the whole thing. Okay.
Every July 25th.
Yeah, that one. Isn't it July 28th?
July 26th.
Yeah. Or one of us is wrong. Anybody else?
I remember 23.
23. Okay, we'll go with 23. Okay. Reflectors. What are reflectors? Those little orange things where you hit with the light and it kind of reflects off, right? You guys know your headlights all have a reflector integrated to the headlight now, right? Okay. 2 reflectors are required after January 1st of 1965. 2 reflectors are required on motorhomes with a weight of 5,000 pounds or more. Okay. Right? So even a small motorhome. 2 reflectors are required on vehicles 80 inches or wider after January 1st of 1969 and must be visible from 100 to 600 feet. Where it gets tricky is the next part. 2 or more reflectors are required at the same level between 15 to 60 inches from the ground, and if it's more than 80 inches wide, it needs to have 1 reflector midway around the motorhome between that range, amber in color. Okay? Motorhomes, buses, trailers, and semi-trailers 80 inches or wider after January 1st, 1968 must have 1 amber reflector to the front, 1 red to the rear. Motorhomes, buses, trailers 30 feet or longer are required 1 amber reflector on each side, approximately midpoint. Okay? All of it's on the test. Okay? All right. So it's not that bad. Okay? Let's break it down. Here's what you want to remember. The moment you see 80 inches wide, what are you going to remember with 80 inches wide? You need 1 amber to the front, 1 red to the rear. That's all you need to remember for 80 inches. Okay? They're not going to ask you dates for that one. Okay? Orange, amber to the front, red to the rear. Is that any different than a normal car? Okay, cool. So we're on the same boat. The next one, 50 to 60 inches, 15 to 60, right? It's right there. I really can't help you much. Okay, that's just something you gotta remember. 15 to 60 inches. So if you know, as soon as you see 80 inches, amber front, red rear, right? Just like a normal car. Okay? Then, it needs to be between 15 to 60 inches from the ground. Ground, center of the light. True? Okay? The next part. This is where it's kind of like, but it's really not. If it says anything about 80 inches wide and 34 feet long, what should you see right smack in the middle? What color? Amber. One amber reflector, midpoint, midpoint. So midpoint, midpoint. Okay?
So for like that's that on a semi-trailer, that's that turn signal reflector integrated as one, right?
It's going to be on the rail. So tonight when you guys are driving home, when you're driving next to a semi, once you get to the halfway point of the trailer, look at the trailer. And there's going to be an amber light. Okay? It's usually a pretty big one. If not, it's just a normal amber light. And that's just basically marking the midpoint of the trailer. Okay? If not, wave them down. Okay? So you guys good the way we broke it down? 80 inches. What do you remember with 80 inches? Amber front, red to the rear, right? Okay. What's the height? 15 to 60. If it's more than 30 feet long, what do you have? A reflector, midpoint, midpoint. What color reflector? Amber. Okay.
5 questions right there.
All right. So at least you got 5 right. Okay. All right. The reflectors need to be 15 to 60 inches from the ground. Reflector on the fender needs to be white or amber. Okay. Jettas. You guys seen the Jettas? I got a little light on the fender, right? Okay. What color is it? Amber. Okay. Reflector. Excuse me. School buses reflectors must be incorporated into the lens of the amber light. You are going to get questions on school buses and emergency vehicles. Okay.
Are we checking those?
Yeah. The small ones.
Wait.
Like the Dumb and Dumber one?
Certify those?
Yeah. Now it's under 10,000 pounds. Okay. So school buses, reflectors must be incorporated into the lens of the amber light. So you get your flashlight, reflect it into the light, and it needs to reflect back. If it doesn't, then it doesn't have a reflector, and that's a fail. Okay? The buses you'll probably be inspecting are not going to be government school buses. They don't want to carry the liability. It's probably going to be like a privately owned company. Okay? Or have you guys noticed, like, there's like the third crashed ambulance that shows up? Right? These fools are always fixing crashed ambulances, so then you guys have to recertify them. Okay. You're going to get a bunch of questions about reflective tape. So any of you guys remember questions on reflective tape? One of them said that they got an enforcement document for a tail light, and they fixed the tail light with reflective tape. Is that pass or fail? So let's look at what California says about reflective tape. Area reflectorizing material may be displayed on any vehicle provided the color is red. The color red is not displayed to the front. Designs do not tend to distort the length or width of the vehicle. Designs do not resemble official traffic control devices, except that alternate striping resembling a barricade pattern may be used. So if you guys look at the back of that ambulance, they're using the barricade pattern. Okay? That's acceptable, right? Can we use that?
Yeah.
Okay? No vehicle shall be equipped with area reflecting material contrary to these provisions. These provisions of this section may not apply to license plate stickers or tabs affixed to the license plate as authorized by the Department of Motor Vehicles. So, your license plate sticker is reflective. That's not a fail, right? Okay? What they're saying here is reflective material shouldn't be used in a way that's going to make the car look longer or affect the way the car looks. Okay? So, in some instances, you can't use reflective tape over a light, right? Is that a fix? You need to replace the whole light, okay? They're going to give you a question that says you're inspecting a ambulance and it has reflective material wrapped around it, red facing forward. Okay? Is that a pass or fail? Fail. Why?
Also facing forward.
What does it say right there? Color red is not displayed to the front. Okay? So if you have it wrapping around or going to the front, that's a fail, right? So you gotta go based off of the color. Yeah. Yeah, if they're using red anywhere towards the front, then it's gonna fail.
I had a friend who made he made custom mud flaps using metal, like 3M reflective material, and it was white. So when you were driving behind him, it's like he had extra lights coming from the rear wheels. So
Oh,
you
shit.
got pulled over for
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Alright. Auxiliary rear-facing lamps must be a max of 2. So if you have any auxiliary lamps in the rear facing the back, you can have 2 of them. They can illuminate light no more than 50 feet. Okay, and rear lamps must be activated only in park or neutral. Parking lamps are required to be lit when the headlamps are on. Okay? Turn signals are required after January 1st, 1958. I know I got that one wrong because I forgot it when I want to go take the test. Turn signals are required to be a minimum of 15 inches after January 1st, 1969. Turn signals must be visible from 300 feet to the front and 500 feet to the rear. Nope.
Hey, officer, so back to that scenario that I just gave you, if my friend would have got pulled over, that's a fix-it ticket he would have got?
Yeah, more than likely.
And then he would have came to me and I could have signed it off if he fixed it? Is that how that works?
If they would have if the cop would have done anything with lights, yes. So if he would have got them for like reflective material that falls under our light inspection, then yeah.
Like those custom mud flaps made out of reflective material.
Mhm.
You fix the ticket, you come to me, I sign it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, after he takes them off, right? All right. Turn signals in the front must be white or amber. Turn signals in the rear must be red or amber. Side-mounted turn signals must be amber unless mounted to the rear where they would need to be red. Okay? Again, this is not that bad. If it's in the front, what color is it? White or amber, right? If it's in the rear, what color is it? Red. Okay, of course it could be amber after or before what year? 79, right? Okay. Alright.
And it's talking about the light bulb or the actual reflector of
Lens. Lens. So, you know how some lenses are red in color and they'll still use like a red bulb? So they're referring to just the lens. What are you going to see when you're applying it?
But you're saying an amber one's fine for turn signals. Right?
Yeah.
What if the turn signals are tinted amber?
Fail.
White? And then...
White, like a clear corner?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's clear, but as long as that the other lights are the right color, it's fine.
Well, you know how they tint them? So
That's a fail.
Any tint.
Any tin on them's fail. Yeah. Okay. You're going to get a question that says that you go on a test drive, you release the wheel, and it's not releasing the turn signal. You got to pass or fail. Fail. Okay? So turn signal must release after the turn is made. If not, there might be a problem with the clock spring. Okay? Clearance lamps. You guys know what clearance lights are, right?
Yep.
You got a 3500, 2500, you got lights on the top, and then if you got a dually, they're around the back, right? Clearance lamps and side markers are required on vehicles. How many inches?
80.
So what's the color in the front?
amber.
And what about in the rear? Okay.
If those are the same cars that like viernes, like Crown Vic and so on, they had it when you turn, Cadillac also, you know, that extra light turns on when you're turning.
Oh, the cornering lamps? We're not there yet. Side lamps in school buses must be lit when other lamps are visible from under 500 feet. Okay? So if you got any side markers or side lamps, they got to be lit with all the other lights. Okay? Running board lamps. This one was fucking hilarious when I came across this. They give you a question that when you open up the lights, the running board lights turn on, what color must the lights be? Green or white? Okay? It's a random ass color, but green or white. Okay? So if you guys have like an SUV or the old, you guys remember the first one that comes to my mind is like the Expeditions. When you used to open the door, you have two lights on the running board that would light up. Okay? Yeah, so those were white, but they were yellow, but that's white, right? So it could have been white or green for those lights.
When the power's on?
Yeah. When you open the door.
When you open the door.
Oh.
So when you're driving down the street, you
So
open the door.
when your door's closed, those lights should be off. So they shouldn't be on. Yeah.
That's never gonna happen.
Yeah, so we just got to that. Door-mounted courtesy lamps must be green or white. So remember I told you guys that if you pop the door open and it has the symbol ones, okay, those are usually like bluish. So what does that mean?
But it's white now.
Okay.
And try to explain it to the customer.
Yeah. All right. Okay. What the fuck you mean you're gonna fail me for that? Oh?
What if it came from a manufacturer and it doesn't?
No, they won't come like that. No. The Mustang does? Leave it afford to fuck some shit up. Is it white? It's just white though, no, right?
White.
Remember, light is white.
So that's fine. As long as it's emitting white light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
White or green?
White or green. Yeah. Yeah, but it comes out like white, no? So yeah, so yeah, that'll be okay. That'll be acceptable. Inside door lamps. So when you open up your door, have you guys noticed your front doors usually have a reflector on it? What color is it? White and red. Why? You open the door, red's gonna face the rear, right? Okay. Inside door lamp or reflector, it must be no more than 6 candle power and must emit red light. Okay.
You're never gonna do that. Sure.
Have I ever felt somebody for that? Fuck no. Okay. Entrance and exit lamps must be lit when the vehicle is not in motion and not more than 32 candle power or 30 watts.
Those are those lights that when you open the door, they illuminate.
Down, yeah, so you can see the floor. If those lights are on, what does that mean? That means your jar switch is not detecting the doors closed, right? Okay.
While you're there.
Yeah. So notice what did it say? Must be lit only when the vehicle is not in motion. Okay. So if you're taking it for a test drive and those lights are on, you got a problem, right? Would that be a fail? You're more than likely not gonna see them, but if you do catch it, would that be a fail? Yeah. If you that was funny. If you want to be that guy, huh? Cowl or fender lamps can be 2, white or amber allowed in the front, amber to the front, red to the rear. Okay? I know, guys, it's horrible. And this is all shit we can usually look up when we're doing a test, but they want you to know all this shit. Okay? I had to go through it too. Yep. Okay. Try telling that to the customer, huh?
My kid was just thinking.
Oh, fuck. You mean this one? Side marker lamps are red. Red are required within 24 inches rear of the vehicle. So if I got a dually, right? If you guys notice, usually where the dual wheel is, we have a fender cover, and it's going to have one red, one amber light. True? Okay. That's within 24 inches of the rear of the vehicle. Why? Because we have to illuminate that to indicate that it's a wider. Does that make sense? Dually. So you know how dualies have the dual wheels in the back, and then they got that white fender cover. If you look at that white cover, you're always going to see a red light towards the rear, amber towards the front.
So like in the fenders?
Yeah. They have those little lights.
I have a question.
What's up?
If the vehicle comes in and they're like clear tinted LEDs, like they changed them, and you turn the lights on, they come right back. That's cool.
That's fine. Yeah. Cornering lamps. Here we go. You guys just asked about them, right? So cornering lamp, 2 are allowed to reveal objects while turning. So if you got some higher end vehicles actually turn, your headlights are motorized. So if you know the car is motorized and you go turn the wheel and the lights don't turn, that's a fail. Right? Because they were designed to corner. They're not cornering. The reason why they're not cornering because it's broken. The reason why they haven't replaced it because it's like $2,000.
But should be working no matter what, like with the headlights on or off.
Well, with the car running, when you go take it for a test drive, you'll usually see it. Or when you
Headlight off.
no, lights have to be on. And then those 2, when they're leveling, the moment you turn the car on, they automatic auto level. So you can look at that too. Ouch. That's German engineering at its finest, huh? Running lamps. 2 white or 2 amber are allowed to the front, only lit at night when parked. Okay? When you turn on your parking lights, what lights are usually on? Your corners, which are amber and red to the rear, right? Okay? Alright. How many of you guys know what this is? A deceleration light. Okay? Third light. If you guys notice, Kelvin said earlier some Subarus will be driving around. When they decel, they're going to have a red light blinking in the rear. Deceleration lights must be amber and allowed to flash no more than 4 times in 4 seconds with a max of 2 lights. They're going to ask you the question of how many times must a deceleration light flash within X amount of seconds? 4 times per 4 seconds. So 1 time per second. Okay, 4 for 4. Stop lamps flash no more than 4 times in 4 seconds. So 1 time per second. So you can do 4 by 4, right? Okay. Emergency vehicles have 1 steady red light to the front, visible from 1,000 feet. You're going to get a question that says that you're inspecting an emergency vehicle. Which light should be always lit, facing forward? What is it? 1 steady red light. Emergency vehicles, white flashing lights, 2 on the front roof line and 2 below the roof line.
Burning too.
That's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just a minimum.
Yep.
So they can have a red light facing front, but they can't have a reflector. Correct.
No.
I mean,
You gotta love it, right?
stupid, right?
Yeah. Okay. In my career, I've never done an ambulance. Ever. Yeah. But if you guys want to see the proof, go check out the ambulance. They always have them parked on back. Thinking about starting a driving school, man. These fucking ambulance drivers can't drive for shit. Flood lamps are only for loading and should not exceed 75 feet of visibility. The number on the lens of an aerodynamic headlamps are for the adjustment setting. So let me show you guys a quick picture. This right here, what kind of lamp is this? It has 3 dots. Seal beam, right? So this is a seal beam lamp. You're going to get a question that says that you have an aerodynamic headlamp, which is basically this shit, just slanted, okay? And it's going to have a number on it. That number is the adjustment setting for an old-style mechanical aimer. Okay, so the answer to this would be that is the adapter for the mechanical aimer. Okay, that's the setting.
Setting for the adapter of the mechanical.
Setting for the mechanical aimer. Okay.
Adapter. That's the answer.
Sorry, the adapter adjustment setting. So when you go over here on this side, you're gonna adjust it based off of that number. I've never done it because I've never owned a set of those Hoppy adjusters. I've always used optical.
Yeah, they came in blue and then they extended the numbers.
To get it put on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had numbers on the extension.
Oh, okay, so you can match it up.
You mean by optical is that machine we used yesterday?
Optical, the one you guys used yesterday. That's a mechanical aimer. Yeah.
That was fun because they never stuck.
The Hoppy ones?
That's on the test about the...
This is a question from the state test. The number on the lens of an aerodynamic headlamp, what does it mean? The answer is the adjustment setting. Fusible links, do you guys remember the answer to that?
Yes.
What number?
4.
4. Smaller or larger?
Smaller.
Perfect.
You go back.
Adjustment setting. The number on the lens of an aerodynamic light is the adjustment setting. Watts. How do you calculate wattage? Amps times volts. Dual filament light bulbs are used on turn signals and brake lights. True?
Yeah.
Okay. Turn signal will override the brake light signal. You get a question where they ask you that in a dual filament bulb, what happens when you're stepping on the brake and you turn on the turn signal? Awesome. You got another one right. Okay.
So what is the dual film?
From dual filament bulb, like your rear tail light, when your lights are on, you're stepping on the brake, and you turn your turn signal on, it's going to stop the brake light to give you a flash, and then go brake light, then flash, then brake light, flash, brake light, flash. So it's overriding, okay? On and off, right?
What would be the question?
The question is going to state that when a dual filament bulb, you got a turn signal, brake light on, what's happening, you're going to override the brake light. Stop lamps must extinguish when turn signals are flashing, just like I said earlier. After January 1st, 1970, the battery must maintain tail lights lit for at least 15 minutes. Is that similar to something you guys already know? Trailers, okay? Electric trailer brakes must maintain 15 minutes of full contact on the rear shoes. You guys remember that? Okay? Turn signal switch supplies power to stop lamps. You're going to get a wiring diagram with the situation talking about rear lights not operational. Then they're going to ask you, what do you think is going to be the problem? Best solution would be stop lamp switch, right? The turn signal switch. So from the stop light goes to the turn signal, from the turn signal switch goes back. Okay, it doesn't just leave the stop lamp switch and go straight back. It goes through the turn signal, the multi-function switch. Guide rails are used to maintain alignment between front and rear wheels on a motorcycle. If you guys ever plan on doing this on a motorcycle, you better have those guide rails. If BAR shows up and asks to see your certificate booklet and you certified a motorcycle, what do you think they're going to ask you for? Let me check out your guide rails. Okay? Not a valid excuse. You just opened yourself up to an investigation. No, it has to be the actual guide rail. You have to buy it. Yeah, they sell them.
Really?
Yeah. Would I tell you to buy it? No. Because I never had one guy roll up on a motorcycle and say, hey, this shit's salvage, can you go ahead and do a brake lamp inspection? Yeah. If you get them all the time, then I would invest in the rail. I think it's like $700. Yeah. Online. That's where, the one person that I know that has it said he got it online for like $700. Okay? I had a question.
What about the brake spec for motorcycles? Where do you get that?
You could do that. If you want to do that, you could definitely do that. Your license will cover a motorcycle.
Yeah, but the certification,
Oh, then you're going to need access to all that info. Yeah. I don't even know. Would you know if there's a platform for that? Probably books.
Your local chaparral.
Yeah. Call Chaparral and buy the book specifically for that vehicle, for that motorcycle, which would be kind of expensive to do for once. También, you want me to do it, man, you gotta buy the book. If you use an aiming screen, how many feet in front of the screen, in front of the vehicle do you need for an aiming screen? 25 feet. If an optical aimer is used on a motorcycle, it must be aligned with guide rails on the floor, right? If you're using an aiming screen on a motorcycle, it must be perpendicular onto the rails, and the motorcycle needs to be helped up with the rider and driver's weight in the seat. If you're going to get a question that says that you're doing an inspection on a motorcycle, okay, you need to make sure that the answer has the rails in it, you're sitting on it, and you're holding it up with your weight, okay? And then you're running the test, right? Did I not put that in there? Okay. If I didn't put it in there, I'll give it to you guys right now. When you're doing a motorcycle, if it has magnetos, you're going to accelerate it, right? You got to rev the motorcycle to get full power out of that headlight. If you're doing an aim on a headlight on a motorcycle, that's a question on the test. Yes, sir.
You know, when we said that one Texas cancels the modulator headlight on a motorcycle. What cancels the modulated headlight on a motorcycle?
No, it is not.
No, that's different.
That's different?
That's different.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a... So if you guys are part of the group, I sent some questions that some of my students from the last class sent me that we got answers for, and that's one of the questions that came up. You got a motorcycle that's going down the road, and it has a, what was the question? Has a cancellation module?
Modulated headlight on a motorcycle.
So modulated headlights, I believe, are illegal, if I remember correctly on the answer. Did I put the answer?
You put an engine that is not running, or it overheats. You had two answers to the question. I'll show you what.
Okay, we'll take a look after.
You go back to the little one you're talking about, the one you didn't put on there, you're saying?
What was I saying? If you got a motorcycle with magnetos, make sure you elevate RPM in order to get full blast out of that headlight. That's a question on the test.
It's like the full RPM.
Yeah. Now when it's idling, the lights are super dim, so you gotta rev it. So you're gonna get a question that says, what type of lubricant is best for adjustment screws on a headlamp? What is it? Silicone based, also known as liquid wrench.
What about
Lithium grease.
That was on the test.
That's one of the answers. Yeah, but what I found through all my research was that
Silicone base.
because it penetrates.
Okay.
So you put it?
Yeah. So when I looked up silicone based, everything that popped up was liquid wrench. And then I did research, and liquid wrench is a silicone based penetrating lubricant. Are shop fees to be refunded when not included in the original estimate?
Yeah, talk about that.
Charging items generally noted as shop supplies or miscellaneous parts is prohibited. The customer may only be charged for supplies used on their vehicle. The cost of these supplies must be included as part of the estimate, and all supplies must be itemized on the invoice. Okay, so that's why I said that. Okay, now that I read it to myself, it clicked. So here's what it is. You can't just say it's $9 for miscellaneous shop supplies. If you are going to charge for it, you need to itemize it item by item. Like I use half of RVT sealant. I used 1 can of brake clean. I used 2 sprays of anti-squeak on your rotors.
Half rag.
Okay, I used half a rag and I threw one away. Okay, you gotta, if you want to charge for that, that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yes,
Okay?
I know my.
Yeah, so you gotta itemize it, right? Okay. Can a lamp adjuster retrofit a headlamp switch if the customer cannot afford the OEM replacement multifunction switch?
No.
Okay? That's a question on the test, by the way. They tell you that they can't afford the OEM one, what do? Nothing, okay? You can't modify it. No, they cannot retrofit or modify a headlamp switch with a toggle switch. California or CVC 26101 subsection A, a person shall not sell or offer for sale for use upon or as part of the equipment of a vehicle and any device that is intended to modify the original design or performance of any lighting equipment, safety glazing material, or other device unless modifying the device meets the previous section of 26014. So, through all that bullshit, what do they really say? No. Okay? You guys see why attorneys make so much fucking money, right? If a motorized headlamp stays open, does it fail? Keyword, motorized. What does that mean? That means it opens and closes, right? If it stays open, it's a fail. It's supposed to close, right? Okay?
But what about the other that has a switch that keeps them open when you turn the light off?
Then that's perfectly fine.
Okay, but if it doesn't have that switch and it's supposed to close and it doesn't,
And if it's not mentioned as part of your question, then don't assume that it hasn't.
so in general, fail.
Yes. Okay?
Those old Pontiacs.
You got to think state test wise, okay? Remember I told you guys when you're taking a test, it's what's most common, right? Not what's specific. LED bulb was replaced and its humming and vibration is changed and vibrating after it was changed. What do? Normal, right? What did I tell you guys yesterday?
Normal.
It's going to either have a fan or a ballast. Now, is that going to make noise? Yeah. Okay? Turn signal will return to off when the steering wheel returns to neutral. If the vehicle is made after 1960, it should have a canceling lever. Virtually all vehicles, except many motorcycles and commercial semi-tractors, have a turn indicator self-canceling feature that returns the lever to neutral. No signal position as the steering wheel approaches the straight-ahead position after a turn has been made. So it has to have it. After what year? 1960. Electric trailer brakes. The breakaway needs to keep the brakes applied for how many minutes? 15. All right. You guys saw, what's up?
When you do that test, is it best just to have the trailer lifted up, pull it, and then every once in a while just go and spin the tire, keep it?
What I would do, because I never did a trailer, was probably not racket, but floor jack. Jack stands, pull tires off, spin them. If they spin, then I'll go pull the emergency brake and then put a set a timer. I'll come back at 16 minutes, and if I can spin that shit, then it's done. It's a fail. Okay, you're going to get questions on air suspension. Woo! Right? Whoop-de-doo. Why?
Because that has to affect the, sometimes that, because the headlights.
Headlights. What if you got an airbag that's out?
Yes.
Is that going to affect the airbag, the lights?
Yep. Jags.
So in air suspension, the system consists of unique rear springs, air compressor, air lines, air spring solenoid, height sensor, air suspension control module, attachments and associated signals delivered from both driver and road inputs. With these components and signals, there's an air suspension control module that commands change to the vehicle height that are necessary for load leveling features. The load leveling features of air suspension, or RAS, systems shall automatically make adjustments in the vehicle height so that the vehicle is always in trim height and consistent front to rear vehicle attitude are maintained over the expected load range of the vehicle. Adjustments in height that are necessary to correct for height differences between the vehicle left and right side. The system shall be restricted to what can reliability achieved on air suspension on the actual height sensors. So right here, all I'm basically saying is this is what it's made up of. So if you guys have never worked on an air suspension system, those are the main components. They're not going to ask you what the main components are, okay? What they mostly ask you guys about is how does the system work? And that's where we're going. This system uses air suspension, or one air suspension height sensor, steering sensor, generic electronic module, and other vehicle sensors to measure driver and road inputs. The system changes the vehicle height using air compressor, 2 air lines, and the use of air springs and air spring solenoids. So how's this system going to work? So we got an air compressor that's going to create pressure and send it down to what? Our air springs, right? Okay. What kind of sensors or inputs do we have that was listed here?
Leveling.
We have a leveling sensor. What else? Steering angle sensor. What else? Height right? Okay. And generic module. Okay. All those inputs need to work in unison so that way the system knows which side we need to add or subtract air from, right?
So trucks that come in with those aftermarket helper airbags like I got on my Tundra, you have to deflate them to factory height for the truck if they're inflated?
So if they're on it, if they're affecting the way that the truck sits in any which way, shape, or form, then you're going to have to adjust that to be level.
Like on my truck, I lifted up just a little bit because my rear leaf springs are just fucked. They're gone. 300,000 miles, they're gone. So that's what I do.
Okay. Well, if that's how you normally drive it, then I'll test it the way you normally drive it.
Okay.
What's up?
For the lamp.
For the lamp, yeah.
Higher than
Well, as long as it's within spec, you're fine.
Because I can get about 6 inches of lift out of those things.
So I would probably want it the way you normally drive it, and that's how I'm going to adjust your lamps.
Okay.
What's the tension?
It hasn't came to me yet, so we're going to go through a little bit more and see if it smacks me in the face. The air suspension system holds vehicle height when the rear hatch or any other door is open. Okay, there's part of it. So they ask you something about saying that when does the air system come to life? Right here we said what? Air suspension holds the system or the vehicle height when the rear hatch or any other door is open. What is it going to do? If suspension's low, what is it going to do? Lift up. Okay? The system stores vehicle height the moment any door is detected. The system then maintains a height regardless of the addition or removal of load, and the system will return to its commanded height when all doors are closed. So you just need to remember what's going to happen in what position. Because if I remember correctly, you get 2 scenarios. One is rear door, rear hatch, and then the other one is what happens when all doors are closed, if I remember correctly.
the rear suspension sag. Rear suspension, rear left suspension sag.
Okay?
What does it affect on the?
So if you got a rear suspension sag, the vehicle's going to be sitting like this. So that means you're going to have one headlight that's going to be up. Yeah. So the vehicle needs to be level.
So that means it holds weight and.
So if there's no leaks within the system, the vehicle should maintain its height.
Like a good question. The rear suspension system holds the vehicle weight when the rear hatch or any door is open?
Holds vehicle height. So it's going to keep it level. So whatever height it was when you got off, it stores that height. So if you guys have been around some cars that have pneumatic suspension, car might be sitting there and all of a sudden you just hear start creaking. The system detected that it either moved, lost pressure, or it came down, so it brought it back up. And another thing too, before you guys rack a car with air suspension, what are you supposed to do?
Take a press it off.
Turn it off, right? Why?
Because the airbag is...
The moment that vehicle gets off the ground, the system thinks that, what? It drops. So what is it going to do? Start inflating the bag. So this way it can get the position sensor come back up. It's never going to do it until the pack blows up. Okay? So what are you supposed to do? Turn it off before you rack it. What's that? No, it's automatic. So the moment it starts detecting the suspension lifting, it'll kick on.
Even if the key's out.
Even if the key's out. Yeah. It says it right here, right? It's going to tell you system stores rear vehicle height the moment any door is detected, and the system will maintain its height regardless of addition or removal of load. So even if it's standing still and you add load, it's going to do whatever it needs to maintain that same height when you got out. Okay? Yeah.
If you lift on the four-post rack, do you have to turn it off?
No, if you're on a four-post, you're fine because the suspension's not going to hang.
Yeah.
So I think this one goes with the question, if suspension is sagging, it needs to be repaired prior to certifying the headlamp aim. Okay? All four tires must be the same size and properly inflated, and the vehicle normally loaded, how it's normally operated, loaded with work truck, needs to be aimed loaded. Okay, so if you get a truck that comes in, it's a construction truck, tell them you need to bring it in the way you normally load it. Because if I adjust it unloaded, they're going to be one way. Once you load it, what's going to happen? They're going to be tweaked up. Okay? They're going to ask you about airbags. What do you guys know about airbags?
There should be a regular battery.
Okay.
Wait, negative. Oh,
So, first things first, they're dangerous as shit, right? Okay? Some of you guys, or hopefully none of you guys have done this, but I've seen a lot of people blowing shit up with them. Don't do that. Be careful with them. Okay? That's an expensive fucking prank. So, if you're not sure if the device is live or not, how are you going to respond with it? How are you going to use it? Make sure it just act as it's live, right? Okay? Question comes up like this. When carrying a live airbag, hold the cover pointed away from the body. So if it explodes, which way is it going? That way. Okay? That's going to be a question on the test. Another question is, when placing a live airbag on a bench or other surface, always place it pointed up. They're going to ask you, you remove an airbag, how do you lay it on the workbench? Facing up. So if the airbag deploys, it's just going to be a huge bubble up, right? Okay? How many of you guys have ever used a voltmeter or anywhere near or around the clock spring and airbag? Be very, very careful that you do not introduce a voltmeter to an airbag module. That shit will deploy. Okay? Your power probes don't go anywhere fucking near an airbag. Right? Okay?
I mean, the only way you can get to know is like
You're not supposed to test those. You need to be certified and you have to have the proper equipment to test an airbag. So if you think it's an airbag, you actually have to ship it out to get tested. You're not testing it.
only way you would test them is with the lights off, but everything before them.
Well, if the light's on, it's probably going to be a clock spring. Yeah.
I thought we were checking for the airbags.
We're not checking for sensors. They're just telling you because if you have to remove the steering wheel for the clock spring for a repair, then you need to know not to hurt yourself when you put the airbag back on.
That's why it's on.
It's not our problem.
I have a question. Hydraulic right assist. Like the hydraulic level wing assist on some Jaguars. I had one. They removed the hydraulic system because either it was too expensive, they couldn't get parts, and they retrofitted it with the kids to use regular shock. Is that fine?
I haven't seen anything that would say otherwise, because they're not, in brakes we didn't cover anything in the manual that said anything about modifying suspension.
Because the only reason I bring that up is because I had a XJ6 that had that system, and it also tied into the Hydro Boost and the power steering. There's all one system.
Oh, well, they eliminate the rest of it. The other part will still remain hydraulically safe, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as everything's still within spec, you should be fine. Yeah. Alright. Any questions on this?
Yeah, right, putting that fireman.
So, if you ever have to replace a turn signal switch, sometimes you gotta take apart the steering column. Includes removing the airbag. So that's why they want to make sure you're not gonna kill yourself. I think it has something to do with Scanner Danner blowing up an airbag while testing a car on a video. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah. So if you guys aren't aware, EPA, BAR, and all these fools are on YouTube watching for stupid shit like this. So when people do stupid shit and they think it's funny and where it has to do with cars and they put it online, you actually are creating a fucking problem. Because when you're putting it online, guess who's watching? The government, okay? And how does the government fix shit? They make it fucking worse, right? Okay, so that's why when people put stupid shit online, then who gets involved? Yeah. Okay? Like Diesel Bros. Okay? Why? How'd they get looked at? Okay? Alright? Okay. Any questions?
What happens if a technician does a brake and lamp inspection on a motorcycle using the guide rails, and then it passes, but then the guide rails get lost, and then he decides he doesn't want to buy it anymore because he doesn't need it, and they come check him out. They find out he doesn't have the guide rails, or let's say he has to misplace that certificate.
Oh fuck!
That's worse.
So just right there with the way you just made that scenario.
I'm asking for a friend, by the way.
Okay. So in that situation, I'm not an attorney, but I would definitely recommend that your friend get some legal advice if he's already being watched for something like that. If not, then at this point, don't sweat it because they haven't came to you.
But you can always say.
If it happens, so let's say they come in 6 months after you did the inspection, it's not gonna be a big deal. But if they show up the next day that you just did the inspection, and then you say, oh, they got lost, and I lost the certificate, then it's kind of like interesting. You lost the one certificate that you shouldn't have done because you don't have the guide rails, and then you lost the guide rails too. Interesting. Okay. Right there, all you just told them was come and check me out. So you're gonna expect some UCs relatively quick. Even worse.
Like, how do they even know it exists?
You have a point there, but if they do an audit, which they do, they'll take your booklet, they'll ask for certs for those booklets, and then they'll go through them. So usually when they go through the certificates, they're there for over an hour, like scrutinizing it, and they want to match numbers up. And you have to put the certificate number on the invoice anyway as well.
But on a serious note, so what happens if like, let's say your station gets broken into and someone steals your certificate along with other voices?
That would be a technicality, and then you would have evidentiary support that did happen, such as police reports, insurance, and all that stuff. So if BART does come in and say, well, where's this shit? Well, here's the police report. They broke into my shop. So at that point, it's kind of not your deal. Yeah, that would be that would be some crazy ass shit.
They didn't take the money.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And they start making questions. We have the right to stay on silent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't want to say.
But you got to remember that if you want to invoke the Fifth Amendment right to shut up, you have to tell them. So you can't just shut up, because then at that point in California, you're actually impeding an investigation, which is worse. Okay. So you have to tell them, I have the right to remain silent, and I wish to invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege to remain silent. And then just shut up. Yeah, and at that point, if you already did that, you should be on the phone trying to get your attorney on the phone.
Okay. How long do you have to keep the certificate?
3 years. Same as one.
Is that on the test?
The 3 years? Yeah. Certificates are valid for 90 days, and you need to keep certificates, inventory certificates, and invoices for 3 years.
So that's just basically the same as small.
Right.
But it's a lot worse.
Just a tad. Same. 3 years. That's why computerized invoicing is shit, because you can keep it all digital. All right. Any questions?
How do you study for the test?
How did I study for the test? The first time, I didn't.
I failed it.
How did I study using that?
How do you study to pass the test? Like, what's your form of studying? Do you take a lot of tests, or what's
Legal pad.
for you?
A legal pad. And then, first thing I do with my legal pad is I start writing everything down that I can remember.
So that's what you get for it.
No. For my study, that's how I study. So I test myself. What do I know? And I start writing down everything I know. Then, I'm going to use that to compare it to something like this and see what did I miss. And what I missed, then I'm going to start finding a way to remember it by association. Okay, like I told you guys earlier, Fox starts at 12:30. That's a method of memorization by association, right? Okay, those of you guys that know me, I'm horrible with names. So usually when I meet somebody new, I try to find something that piques my interest about that individual. Okay, so when I meet with somebody, it's usually, all right, what did that guy like? If he tells me something like, let's say, aviation for sort, I'll remember him by aviation or by a specific plane. Okay, or something specific about him. Yeah, I swear that's how I remember my name. Okay? So, what I do in these types of situations, first is I test myself. What do I know? Then, after what I know, I compare it to something like this manual. Okay? What I don't know, then I need to work on how to remember that or study on that. Okay? So usually one of the best methods to study a material is to teach it. Okay? So what you would want to do, after I do my notepad, okay, I don't record it, but you could record it if you'd like, but usually I'll just take my notepad and just start talking, like if I'm talking to you guys. And I do that, and that helps me remember the information. It starts to click. So when I go take the state test, first thing I do is I jot down my notes. Then that starts helping me jot those little thoughts, that one thing. Okay? You guys remember what I tell you, 80 inches. What do you remember with 80 inches? Amber, red, right? If it's over 30 feet, midpoint, center, right? CC, center. That's another way you can look at it. 1560, right? Okay? Fox starts at 12:30. Those types of little things, you start doing that. So when you start teaching it, you start picking up those little things and you remind yourself of that. Okay? Can I reiterate a lot of it? Some of it I remember, some I don't. Okay? And I'm okay with that because when I'm doing an inspection, I can look it up, right? But for the test, you need to memorize it, which is fucked up. That's why I don't believe in tests, because tests only test you on memorization, what you can remember. I'd rather see what you can do. Does that make sense? Okay? So, to answer you guys' question, the way I do it is legal pads, because you just flip the pages. They're a lot easier to go through. So, legal pads, jot everything down.
Going over all these,
Going over the key things, the worksheets, okay, all the crossword puzzles and all that stuff, I didn't make them just for kids play. All that stuff is key points that you guys saw here and throughout the class.
you don't have to read all this,
You don't have to read all of it, just the key points I mentioned and some of those.
But once you write it, it's easier.
If you write it, you're going to remember it. Okay? If you talk about it, you're going to remember it. Okay? The point is not just to sit there and kind of mumble it to yourself and hopefully you remember it. It's not going to work. Does that make sense? Okay?
Somebody that you can share the way you
Yeah!
are interested on that field.
If you can find somebody, great. If you can't, just bore the shit out of somebody else. Okay? Because they're going to be like,
Sometimes people want to hear.
you're going to talk to me about lights, man? Just fuck it. Hit me with it, right? Okay?
You can ask somebody to read the question and answer it.
Yeah. Buy some beers, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Alright. Did I answer your question, bro?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Here's the other one. The lamp sheet. Is that one it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys want to fill that one out?
Didn't like it, but we didn't write stuff, but now I love it. It's good.
It helps you learn.
No. Well, I never really been good this, but now the way I use it.
It helps. It helps. It's a good tool.
Yeah. I got another one. When you get it
Do we have two? Yeah.
Is there referee breaking lap station?
No. No. Be interesting though.
Send it to that referee.
That'd be some funny shit. Even those guys hate bar.
Wait, the referee's on bar?
Huh?
The referee's on bar, no?
Referee or bar?
No.
No?
They're subcontracted for bar.
So what, it's like they send it to your shop?
What do you mean?
They can send it to your shop with your contract?
But you have to, usually the referees are at community colleges, but they're not like direct employees of the Bureau. So they're not bar reps. Bar still goes and does audits to the referee centers.
Really?
Yeah.
I know you were.
They fucking hate them. They hate each other.
All the paperwork they have to do?
No, well, if you think they come down hard on you guys, they come down hard on them too. My mentor Don Wilson used to work there, and at one point, FAR showed up and shut down the referee because the machine didn't pass calibration. So even if you work for them, they still don't give a fuck. They'll still fuck with you.
What are the kind of jobs that they do though?
Who? Referee? Signing off citations, inspecting vehicles, clearing enforcement.
But those are pretty much older, what has been guys that are already retired. They're really, I don't see somebody with a good attitude. Sometimes they're already.
They're miserable, sadly.
Yeah.
Alright, and then you guys got another one. One second. You guys gotta take a picture, go ahead. I got it, bro. Huh? Alright. And if you guys gotta take a picture, go for it.
Nice, yes.
We'll get out of the way.
I got a photo bomb.
Hey, officer, so for the brake inspection, is adjustment of the self-adjustment lever and parking brake cables, is that part of the inspection?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're gonna inspect and adjust for 1 fee.
Anything that's adjustable should be adjusted for the inspection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, with the adjustment, or not. It's already all the way in, it's max as they can adjust, but it's not holding, that has to be replaced.
Yes, sir. Conventional theory.
The question is, though, I mean, if you tell them, hey, I'm gonna inspect your vehicle, but I'm not doing any adjustment, do you agree with that? No, because we're.
No, because you have to.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
some of these Euros, you like, they want.
Oh, if you want to like call it out specifically, yeah, you could definitely do that.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you could tell them out of shop policy we can't do it, but you'd have to say that orally in writing and make it like a policy.
Okay.
And then also, like, if a customer freezes their trailer and you said that they have to leave the tow vehicle, do you have to let them know that you have to do an inspection on the tow vehicle, whether or not does it need to, just to make sure that it's safe to be driving the trailer to take brakes don't work?
Yeah, but you don't want to go into a full inspection. I would just do a quick
visual, make sure.
make sure fluid's good, and then after that, just do a quick brake check. First movement, hit the brakes. Yeah, don't rack it, don't do none of that shit. Just
like a quick.
brake fluid's okay. Put it in drive, let go of the brakes, slam on the brakes, let it stop. Cool. I feel comfortable.
Okay.
Does it have 4 tires that are all the same size? One's not bald. I don't see any metal coming out, so I feel safe. I'll go take it for a test drive.
People comes in with the little tiny tires and the big old fucking tractor pull tires.
Yeah, you know what's up.
Tires on the European front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Stretch tires, those fucking stupid Honda kids with the stupid wide tire rims and the fucking tires that come out like that. No, not cambered, stretched. They got an 11-inch rim with a 9-inch fucking tire. 9-inch wide tire. Can we say no on that?
Yeah, if you don't want to do it because it might damage the vehicle, you could say something like that. All right.
Are we checking both drum brakes as well for lateral runout and parallelism?
No, bell shape. So out of round is what you're gonna hear.
So we're not looking for thickness variation or.
Well, you'll be able to see it because it's out of round. So if you have variation, that would be considered out of round.
So not runout, right? That's the
No, that's on the rotor. Okay.
Yeah.
aeration and got some runoff that's going toward around.